Works for Strategy and he's a director for the organization. So welcome. Please, if you want to take the first, thank you for being here. The next panelist I'd like to call on the stage is, I think you know her very well, Carmela Tripaldi. Carmela is the Regulations and Research Innovative Mobility Director at ENAC. Welcome, Carmela.
Sure.
Be careful.
Be careful. Stay here.
My next panelist is Luigi Brucaleri from ENAV. And Luigi is the Research and Innovation Manager at ENAV, and he's also been seconded to D-Flight, which is the UTM organization and the potential USSP in Italy. So welcome, Luigi. And the next speaker is Gianpaolo Conte from Leonardo. Gianpaolo, you're welcome. Gianpaolo is the Program Manager of Advanced Air Mobility at Leonardo. Last but not least, I'd like to welcome Calogero Gianmusso. I think I got that right. All right. From UrbanV. And Calogero is the Head of Operations at UrbanV. It's the organization that's building vertiports and also the first sandbox here at the Rome airport. So welcome to all of you. Thank you for being here. Now, we've got about 45 minutes. I don't want to take any more than that. So let's first ask each of the panelists to deliver their key message, just no more than 5 minutes, if that's okay, just so that you understand who they are. And may I first start with Federico, and then we'll move to Carmela after that. So Federico, would you like to deliver your keynote message, please?
Thank you, Minesh. I'll try to stay in 5 minutes. So let's start, the next slide, with an overview of the market, or at least what we see in the market in terms of potential. Okay, so in terms of potential, the Italian market looks quite promising. As you can see here, we are expecting a double-digit growth over the next few years, mainly driven by the urban air mobility. Urban air mobility will grow at almost 70% CAGR over the next few years, and the total market will reach 1.8 billion by 2030. These are quite impressive figures, as you can see. So mainly the growth will be driven by the urban air mobility. That being said, data acquisition will still be an important part of the market, so representing more or less 30–40% of the total market. Focusing on the urban air mobility, in reality, Italy is lagging a little bit behind other countries in Europe. So just to give you a few numbers, if we compare Italian GDP and urban air mobility share between Italy and other countries, we see quite some difference. So Italy accounts for 14% roughly of the total GDP of the Eurozone. But in terms of urban air mobility, it only has 4.7% share of the total market. If we look in 2030, the picture will be slightly different because we are expecting to have, let me say, the same share in terms of GDP, even a little less, but the picture will be totally different in the urban air mobility market, where we are expecting to have 6.4% of the total share. Why so? Because we are lucky to have two of the most promising cities in terms of passenger transportation outlook in Europe, that are Rome and Milan, both for airport shuffling, sightseeing, and metropolitan network. They are very attractive. In order to further develop the market, a roadmap has been developed. The roadmap is composed by more than 60 different initiatives, but just to summarize that, we highlighted the three main steps that we are expecting. First of all, we need to start with a controlled demonstration. So already this year, we need to have experimentation and demonstration in dedicated areas. like for instance, Grottaglie Airport, Turin, and other different areas. In 2026, we need to move to something more promising. So we are expecting to showcase the urban air mobility, for instance, for the Winter Olympic Games in Cortina. That will be a huge stepstone in order to develop the public acceptance and foster the market. And last but not least, to have by 2030 a large-scale market. What do I mean by large-scale market? I mean having the service erogated in cities in controlled corridors, but at a large scale. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Federico. That sets the scene very well. May I now ask Carmela to deliver your key message, please?
Thank you very much for inviting ENAC in this main event. I would like to focus on the fast rhythm of innovation that require the regulator to change its approach respect to regulation and in general to the industry. So we need to change our role, and we needed to open a dialogue with the industry and with the national ecosystem. For this, the Italian path to advanced air mobility is started in 2019. And now it's continuing. We signed an agreement with the Minister of Innovation in order to enable a safe, secure, and efficient intermodality air mobility in Italy. In 2021, we published a strategic plan and relevant roadmap and a business plan in partnership with the PwC, a strategic partner for evaluating the level, the business model, and the level of the investment we need to enable the system. Which vision, which mission and goals? The vision is to pass on to the future generation modern mobility that is integrated, and we change the paradigm of aeronautical mobility from products to segments to services. So in this context, the digitalization and ecological transition are the key for the new intermodal mobility that has to be seen as services and not only as a single product. So it's very important. The mission is the creation of this ecosystem. We stay in line with the green ambitions and with the regulation, EU regulation. But it's very important to integrate the EU regulation is a very, very efficient national framework able to accompany the evolution of the sector. And last but not least, we have to stress a public and a private investment, a partnership to accelerate the ecosystem, because innovation comes on the legs of few first movers. Firstly, private. But it is important, as already said in the previous panel, that the public institution, the public funding will come. Our lesson learned, because our experience has made us realize the importance of involving different stakeholders, because innovation moving fast in different domains, different actors, not only aviation. Territories are the key of the social acceptance, and so we need a new approach. We need more commercial demo in sandbox, in a real life environmental that able to represent the real services, and it's very important to involve different stakeholders, as Munish said, public and private collaboration, but very important, civil and military, because military has a very high level of technology and knowledge about this new technology. The investment cost is very important. I would like to underline that the investment cost to make it all happen has to be sustainable, and for delivery this new mobility, public assent can only be gained through perceived value for the society. This is very important.
Thank you, Carmela. Luigi, would you like to share your views, please?
Thank you, Munish. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. In my slide, I want to give a key message that U-Space enables WAAS operations. So we are in a panel that is called Innovative Aerial Services, no? That is a kind of generic name to represent and how to build the system. And for sure, we mention that innovative aerial services are aerial operation and innovative air mobility. Many of these are WAAS operations, no? But maybe it's a little bit hidden with the new name, but just to put clearly this. And U-Space has been defined, conceptualized, and regulated to enable WAAS operation. So the majority of innovative aerial service require some infrastructure, U-Space, airspace, to enable such kind of operation. We know that U-Space airspace makes sense in order to manage some complexity, so high density, mixed operation, very a significant demand to create it. We defined U-Space services in the regulation, and of course, what I want to highlight that in this complex ecosystem that regulation created, so roles for competent authority, provider of common information service providers, USSP, USS operator, roles and responsibility now are really clear. We have a regulation, and INAV Group is working on U-Space transversally. So from the provider of a common information for the role of NSP that is playing, the common information service provider, USSP, and WAAS operator. In fact, in the group we have INAV, TechnoSky that is a WAAS operator, D-Fly, INAV as NSPs, and as a group designated for single common information service provision. D-Flight that we demonstrated U-Space services in several research projects, and we are already mentioning WAAS-IT for provision of some of them. And IDS AirNav as a company that provide solution for the group. So this is the clear message, U-Space as an enabler for WAAS operation, that is one of the elements to build the system.
Excellent. Thank you. That's clear. Right. May I now ask Gianpaolo to deliver your message, please?
Right. Thank you very much. So Leonardo is it's very interested in developing innovative aerial services, and since many years, few years, is engaged in developing few verticals. One of the topic of interest for us is urban air logistics. Then we have also worked with drone data as a service. And of course, UTM main traffic management system, as Leonardo is an industrial partner of the flight. During the last 2 years, there has been a special focus on drone logistics for us, and we have established a partnership with a major Italian logistic player, Poste Italiane, where with them we have conducted a business viability. So the idea was to investigate how profitable could be such a business for Leonardo and Poste Italiane. For that, we have created also an experimental roadmap. And we have identified the segment of middle mile aerial logistics, which is basically connection between logistic hubs, which is different from last mile, delivering a package to final destination. So middle mile is more dealing with the heavier payloads, talking about payloads from 40 kilos and above. So this is where we find our strategic position with Poste Italiane. And we have gone through an experimental phase last 2 years, where we have experimented in urban context, together with Poste Italiane and Flying Basket, which is a startup company which is present in this event. We have performed several experimental tests in real urban and logistic areas from Poste Italiane. We are actually entering a new phase where we want to move from one-shot experimental tests into more like delivering, deploying a pilot service. And this is a plan that is ongoing for 2024. All right, so it is a complex domain. It has several enablers, so to say, that to be addressed in order to really pull things through. That's why our experimentation try to include all the as many verticals as possible, so to have the possibility to interact as many stakeholders as possible, which are part of the game. So business model, well, that's where we, with Poste Italiane, are really digging into how to develop new business model for this area. Regulation is fundamental. Regulation is recent. Regulation has to be probed during the test, and we are supporting also ENAC for supporting ENAC for developing the advanced air mobility national roadmap. Technology is so we our approach is to test scout the state of the art and test the state of the art in order to find identify gaps and also fill the gaps with technological development. With technology includes also digital infrastructure and physical infrastructure. Operation, it's really a new way of operating, delivering a service. So moving from on-ground transportation, from air transportation to air transportation, it's a new thing. And what we are doing with our project with Poste Italiane is trying to develop also operationally new way to deliver this service. And social acceptance is I've been talking before, it's an important aspect. There will be business only if there will be social acceptance. So Leonardo is very interested to monitor social aspect of what is going to implement. So those are the domains we are working with in our experimentation, and strategically we are moving into this partnership with end user, Poste Italiane, tech scouting of startups, new technology, and eventually making partnership. And also, we like to keep close contact with academia world, in order to have more grasp on the future solution, which has to will come later in time. That's why we have actually created Drone Contest, which is an open innovation project. We are funding 6 PhD students from 6 universities in Italy for 3 years, and we give them a task on Leonardo interest to solve, and we have them implementing on the drone. We have an arena in Turin where once a year they are showing how they solve the problem. So, and which we hope in the future to implement on a larger platform. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Just before we go to the last speaker, Calogero, just very quickly, can I have a show of hands of those who are from drone operators community? How many of you are here from drone operators? I see Flying Basket there, no doubt. We have some from drone operators. Members from ANSP community? Not many. One, of course you are, but you're on this side. How many of you are from or representing regulatory body? Okay, we have some there as well. And how many of you are finance people who are actually looking at this as an opportunity to invest in future? All of you. Oh, isn't that nice? That's wonderful, isn't it? I just wanted to get a feel for, oh, sorry, and the academia. How many of you from academia? Excellent. Okay. Okay. Vertiports? We have one on this side. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I just wanted to get a feel for, all right, well, actually, what about the rest of you? These were the key stakeholders. I'm interested to learn from you what you are you representing any test centers, perhaps? Ah, there are people over there, and from Denmark, from Finland. Okay, so that's a good cross-section of people. So USSP. Lady at the back. Okay, thank you very much. So over to you now, Calogero. Would you like to deliver your message, and then we can start and interact? Ladies and gentlemen, please have your questions ready. I've got loads, and we can go on for the next 2 hours, but that's not what we want. You want to have some lunch in between. So please feel free to ask questions after Calogero has finished his key message. Over to you.
Yes, thank you very much, Munish, and it's a pleasure for me to be here today. And I would like to deliver my key message that is very clear. To enable the innovative air mobility, urban air mobility, we need vertiports that are the infrastructure that we need to put in place in our city to enable the transport of passenger and goods. So who we are? We are UrbanV. It's a new company that was established 2 years ago. Our main shareholders are Aeroporti di Roma, Gruppo Save, Aeroporto di Bologna, and Nice Côte d'Azur. As you can see, we are a company that was established by big airport companies that manage a lot of passengers per year. So what we would like to do, we would like to start and leveraging the experience of our shareholders to launch the urban air mobility and to develop networks in the catchment area of these big airports. So our first networks will be established in Rome. What you see on my background is the first connection that we would like to launch in Rome by the end of the next year. We would like to connect the international airport of Rome to the city center of Rome. So it will be the first air taxi service in urban air mobility for Italy, but we will be the second maybe in all the world. After Paris, because Paris will be the first connection. Paris will be launched by the middle of 2024 during the Summer Olympic Games. This scenario that on which we are working together with the Civil Aviation Authority is very interesting because we are touching with our hands all the challenges that are not only aeronautical challenge, but also are challenge regarding the integration of this infrastructure inside the big city that are very complex. Rome have more than 2,000 years of history, so it's not so easy to imagine to put the new VTOL capable aircraft in a city that is very complex, like all the major European cities. So it's not so easy, it's very challenging. Our mission as UrbanV is very easy. We would like to design, build and operate vertiport. Of course, the vertiport in the beginning phase, according to the performance of eVTOL capable aircraft, will be a sort of networks with a short range, and after, thanks to the improvement of technology, will be possible also to connect different networks in different regions of the area. What we have done until today is very easy. We have realized that the first Italian vertiport inside the International Airport of Rome. You see the picture on the background. And the test vertiport was designed according to the European Aviation Safety Agency guideline for vertiports, the prototype technical specification design for vertiports. And 1 year ago, in October 2022, we had the first flight with Volocopter. The aircraft was the 2X aircraft that you see here. And this infrastructure was designed to be full agnostic. So what you can see, the value that we selected is to be full compliant with all the most famous aircraft that in this moment are under development. This vertiport is located inside our regulatory sandbox. In this moment, we are discussing with the Civil Aviation Authority to start the operation inside the regulatory sandbox that is located in, as you can see in the map, we are in a very complex environment. We would like to use this sandbox to perform different challenge in terms of regulatory, technological, and also operational. And we would like to test and to support the development of operation with unmanned aircraft. We would like to test operation also with VTOL capable aircraft, but also support the ground operation for drones and VTOL capable aircraft. This sandbox will be operated according to the guidelines that at the beginning of this year was published by the Civil Aviation Authority. And I would like to say thanks to the Civil Aviation Authority for the big support that we have received on this project.
Thank you. Thank you very much, all of you, for sharing your message. Now, let's open the floor. Are there any questions from you to kick it all off? Okay, no problem. I'll start, but please raise your hand if you have any. Let's first go back to, Federico, what you highlighted in your presentation. You talked about, and you showed us some very nice, pretty pictures of charts and numbers of how the demand is likely to increase, particularly in Italy, as you highlighted, that the share of innovative air mobility versus the GDP is actually going to increase as we move forward, and which is good news. Do you see any new areas, any new capabilities or domains where the use of innovative air services and innovative air mobility are likely to grow, other than what we already know?
Well, thank you for your question. I think, first of all, we need to differentiate between what we see in urban areas and what we see in rural areas. Urban areas, definitely the main trend will be urban air mobility. So everything that will be related to passenger transport across the cities, air taxis, this will be definitely the main driver of growth, and is something that the ecosystem is building on. And also, as consulting company, we are demanded to help companies to build strategies in order to develop this particular market. So for sure, this will play the lion's share in the urban market. There will be also other application, something like related to safety and security, something like transportation of goods, especially for medical reasons. but this will be mainly applicable to rural areas, where, of course, transportation of passenger will not be the trend. Rather, it will be something related to transportation of goods, especially where to cut times where normal transportation is not very well connected. Secondly, in rural areas, there will be a lot of usage in agricultural application, so everything that is related to monitor the crops, helping the farming in order to use these new technologies to improve efficiency will definitely be another trend. And again, something related to health and safety, also in rural areas, will be applicable.
That's good. So it's very interesting. You've actually raised another question, so thanks for answering that question. You've raised two more, so you're going to be very busy for this afternoon. There are two arguments, and I hear that in other places where we go to as well. In some cases, as you Federico very quite rightly highlighted, that the urban cities are likely to see a lot more interaction, a lot more traffic, and also perhaps where the business case for flying drones and eVTOLs is likely to be positive first. So there's an argument. In some places, people argue that we are first going to see an acceleration of drone services and urban air mobility in cities, and then we will see rural areas taking on. And there's a counter-argument, but wait a minute, isn't it better first to do it in rural places because the risks are low there, and also perhaps the cost of delivering essential services per population density is higher without the drones, but drones could really decrease it. So there's two arguments, rural first and then urban, or urban first and then rural. We don't know which way it's going to go. How many of you think that we're going to see urban drone traffic in urban environment first and the rural will follow later? Show of hands, please. Few. What about the other way around? The first we're going to see rural and then urban. Right. Federico, you may have something to take away from it and look at your business case later on. But it's interesting. I'm not saying that one's right and the other one's wrong, but it's interesting how this can be combined with public acceptance, which is the next question, of course, is people feel more comfortable to see drones in low density and therefore low risk areas, and to build their capacity and the capability and acceptance of those services before they see in high density areas such as the urban environment. The counter-argument, of course, is that the investors are going to have to wait a lot longer to make money out of it, and that's where the problem might be. But certainly it's a finding in itself. So let's move on to the next item, which again is public acceptance. And maybe over to you, Calogero, that you talked about Sandbox. Yeah, that your organization is working on a sandbox. The EU Drone Strategy 2.0 also makes it very clear that sandboxes are needed. Why are they needed? First of all, we need them. We have projects, such as CIDAR projects, Horizon 22 projects, national projects. We do a lot of trials and demonstrations and tests in those projects. So why do we need sandboxes? One of the limitations of these projects is that when we do testing and validation in these projects, that's limited and in limited weather conditions with limited budget and for a limited amount of time. What we want to do is to be able to test and validate drone flights, their architecture, the technicalities across a wider cross-section of weather patterns, also for longer periods of times to see its reliability, its robustness, and therefore we need sandboxes. How can a sandbox help improve public perception, Calogero?
Thank you very much for the question. As UrbanV, we have discussed the issue of the social acceptance at different times. So please consider that in this moment we have built our test vertiports, but also we are in the design phase for the two first commercial vertiports. So one of the main issues that we identify is the number of people that benefit from the first innovative air mobility service will be very low. So this does mean, this of course is due to the certification of the aircraft, the delivery, the production, and of course we'll scale up the operation in the next 10 years. So what we have decided is to try to open the door, the concept that we have adopted for the sandbox, but also for our first commercial vertiport will be a sort of open door. So for us, it's very important to bring inside the vertiport not only the passenger, that at the beginning will be very few, but also give the opportunity to the people to come inside this new infrastructure, to see, to touch the innovation, touch the new technology, see the benefits that can come from these new innovative air mobility services. So it's very important to open the door of this infrastructure and use also this for the educational purpose. Not only for conference, for business conference, technical conference, but also for educational purpose, because the young generation of today are the user of tomorrow. And for me, it was a pleasure to see a few minutes ago that some scholarship was inside the exposition. It's very important to start the real social acceptance. The study performed by EASA showed that the 71% of the people would like to try the new service. But it's very important to give the opportunity to touch with the hands this new infrastructure and to see that this will come in very short terms.
Yeah, no, it's very important, really. Seeing is believing, I think, again and again. If we can invite public to come and witness tests taking place in sandboxes or activities, and an opportunity for them to ask questions on why is this happening and get answers from experts, I think it'll be very good, no doubt. Any questions? Oh, there's a gentleman there in the red T-shirt. Could we have maybe a microphone to... If you can introduce yourself before asking the question, please.
Yeah, my name is Siad Simokran. I'm a postdoc, a collaboration between DTA and the University of Bari, Department of Computer Science. I would like to make a small synthesis, then ask my questions. Here, something which is a little bit confusing is the type of business plan, which is the B2B or B2C, to consumers. Yeah. Colleague Paola in the beginning showed that there is very little, let's say, incentive from the companies already established to adopt services, let's say, based on drones or drone services. Maybe this is highlight an implicit competition of the services proposed by these new technologies with the already established one. As a proposal, let's say, maybe establish like the benefit, the truly benefit, pragmatic benefit of what drone technology is proposing as a solution in comparison to the already existing one. Now, the second, with the business to consumer, yeah, there is this like a brute force based on the young generation with the, yeah, but how sustainable is this with the new generation? Because at a certain point, they will come to the same conclusion as the elderly one, even if it starts like as a startup, want to adopt new technologies, then after money comes to the game, they will benchmark the proposed solution to the already established one. So is there any insight in what is proposed as a solution comparing to the already established one, even in mobility, let's say, as an application field?
Thank you for your question. Who would like to take a stab at that?
Maybe if I got it right, the question, I mean. So the question was, how do we compare these innovative services with something that we already have, and how we decide whether they will be sustainable or not?
Particularly for B2B and B2C models.
Okay, so let me address the B2C part of the question. The easiest way to think about this is to compare the service of air mobility with a classic taxi service, right? So at the end of the day, the benefit that the client has is the same, moving from one place to the other in the shortest amount of time possible. What we are expecting is, of course, that as of today, the service, let me say, is not sustainable economically speaking. It will be quite expensive. We are expecting to have the service like 2-3 times more expensive than the same route with a chauffeur. But, of course, with the progression of technologies, with the progression of the introduction of unmanned services, so you don't have the cost of the pilot anymore, with the increasing payloads, so you will split the cost among more passengers, with the increasing efficiency of the batteries that will allow extended ranges. This cost is expected to reduce up to 1.2, 1.5 the times of the cost of the same route with a cab. So in terms of acceptance, let me say, for sure, this will first target business and wealthy customers, and then will slowly move into a more mass market. This is at least our estimation, what we are expecting for the urban air mobility. And in this regard, we think that it will be quite sustainable, also because it will have additional benefits. It's not just about the cost, but for instance, it's about the environment, because we are moving towards something more sustainable. It's about time and traffic congestion, because I mean, we are limited in physical infrastructures in the cities that we have. We cannot build new roads in Rome. So either you change the way that you move, or we don't have any other solution in this regard. So I'm quite positive about that.
Thank you, Federico. Any other questions? Sir, could we pass the microphone?
Yes, my question is a general question related to something at least.
Could you introduce yourself? Just
doesn't work?
No, it works. But could you just introduce yourself?
Yes. My name is Alberto Cipriani. I'm coming from a manufacturing company that is going to work on a drone that could have basically 200 kilos of payload, and we believe that it could be ready in terms of demonstrator within 2.5 years. We also are supplier of Leonardo for several parts of helicopters and so on. And what I listened today was very often eVTOL, but what about the future of drones with endothermic motor or turbine motor? Because very often we are talking about electrical motors, but from my point of view, in this moment we are very far from possible use of the motors for long trips and heavy duty, let me say, payload transportation.
I'll tell you what, let's take this in two parts. So certainly go for it, but I'd like Carmela's view on this as well, because I know ENAC has also been working on a roadmap, because there's a few things that could also be. But please, do you want to start, Gianpaolo, first to respond to it, and then we'll come to Carmela.
Yeah, it's battery density, energy density, power density. It is a limiting factor at the moment, which the business case will be, for the logistic part, will be enabled where you have a certain range and certain capacity. Hybrid propulsion, it's the solution in a short term. So we have to go with hybrid propulsion if we want to start soon. Of course, it comes with a price. So if you install an endothermic engine, you increase the cost, and then you have to see if so you increase the range, you increase the cost, you have to see if your business case still holds. There is a noise. And so it depends on the environment. Of course, for urban air mobility, endothermic engine is out of the question. Maybe for rural application, if you want to move things on an island, you can use that. But operative cost is an issue. So both for turbine and for traditional combustion engine, and of course hydrogen. Hydrogen is it's a possibility. For small drone, you still have the power density of the hydrogen system, which is limiting you. But in medium term, it is probably the way to go.
Okay, thank you. Carmelo, while responding to this question, could you also expand that slightly and give us a view of how various stakeholders involved in the ecosystem generation are being brought together using the roadmap that ENAC has been working on?
Okay, thank you. I would like to say that we are working on a step-by-step approach. And it's the same approach that we can see at European level for developing EU regulation. We start with regulation for a manned vehicle without pilot on board. That doesn't require a specific power source. So it's not specific for electric. It's just a general rule. And when we start with 947, we thought at low level and medium level applications. Inspection, monitoring, agricultural support, and this kind of application at the moment in not congested environment are at a commercial level in Italy, because they use commercial drones. I agree with you. The regulation is changing. The CE marks will arrive, but the low level, the medium applications are already a reality. What about electric VTOL and innovative services? I would like to specify that innovative services are not drones in general. Innovative services, aerial work, is addresses to high level of risk operation in specific category. Are not drones in general, are just the level of a specific category that fall into SAIL 5, SAIL 6. So high level of risk in congested area, because this is the way that in Italian some experiments, not only in Italy but in all Europe, some experiments in congested area are at a level of, at the moment, experimental just. Because if you would like to fly on urban environment at a high level, you need to have a robustness requirements for your drone, not only air operation approval, because all of you know that the regulation is operation-centric, the 9747. Now when we increase the level of the risk, the level of requirements will increase. So it's very important to have this picture for for open and specific operation in low level of risk. We already have a stable system and a stable regulation, and we are working on a commercial activity. For example, Enel, Eni, and other main power plant are mainly operated this new technology in BVLOS operation too.
Yeah.
But in reality, if we would like to increase the level of the risk, the level of application at the commercial level, we have a more robust product, not only an authorization, a specific scenario. We need to have the organization, the operators, and the products able to operate in high-level risk. This is very important for social acceptance, because if we enable systems that are not too safe and secure in such environment, we can destroy all the work we are done in these years. So, for example, we are working with the DGSC and the EASA for our pilot project in Rome for the innovator mobility for moving people. The other cluster, included in innovator services, that are very, very, very challenging. But we are creating criteria in line with the new opinion, EASA opinion. So there isn't a rule; it's just an opinion. But in Italy, we are creating a rule for anticipating innovator mobility in order to enable the first commercial route, not experimental. It will be commercial. That's the approach. Step by step, we have to know that at the European level, we are very, very, we are a fast mover in the world. But we have to be careful to enable real, robust scenario and operations.
Thank you. That's good. Last question to you, Luigi, and I think then we'll stop because it's lunchtime now. We'll stop with you. From the perspective of a USSP D-Flight, first of all, how far are you in the certification process, if you could inform our audience, and what challenges do you foresee?
Thank you for this question, Munish.
I'll leave the best for the last.
So we are working hard. So I think this is the crucial year to deploy U-Space. Yeah. We are fully involved in a European project like U-Welcome, with the Eurocontrol leading the project, with the 3 cluster really significant for Europe. So the Spanish, the French, and the Italian one. So we are working hard to deploy, to go for certification. There are tables open for certification, and we are working on it. But what I want to highlight is that, of course, there are the regulation is there. Acceptable means of compliance and guidance material is there. Some standards are still under development, so we have to work hard to finalize everything in order to be ready for this urgent need of U-Space around innovative aerial services. That's true.
Thank you. Thank you, Luigi. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time we conclude. In this sort of last hour or so, we've touched on a number of areas, one of which being the growth is expected to increase. Mobility as a service is what we're looking at in future. We need investments, but we need public and private parties both to come forward and invest in this industry. U-Space is going to be the digital enabler for drone operations and drone service markets to go up. And I particularly like the idea from Leonardo about we often talk about just the last mile logistics, but the middle mile logistics are very important because sometimes the last mile logistics, particularly in urban environments, are so difficult simply because in congested areas it's just very difficult and there's an argument with whether one is better than the other. So it's very good.
If I comment on that, sorry. Middle mile logistic also calls for more a structure operation like corridors.
Yeah.
So you know that logistic hubs are there. You establish corridors, and then it will be structured.
Yeah.
Last mile it will be unstructured.
True.
That's
Thanks for pointing out. And no doubt, we need to continuously fund for new innovative activities, and we look forward to the Vertiport opening up at the end of 2024 in Rome. It would be a great time for Italy to celebrate as well. You've been very good, very patient. Thank you, and I hope you found this session useful. I wish you a pleasant afternoon and enjoy your lunch.